Roadhouse was shot on an estimated $15 million budget, yet became a memorable cult classic. Patrick Swayze saw the film as a modern-day Western, with Dalton as a wandering gunfighter. These are 15 hidden details you completely missed in Roadhouse. Number 15. Dalton holds a Ph.D. in philosophy from New York University, a quirky detail that underlines his calm demeanor even while confronting violent goons in barroom brawls. This educational background informed how Patrick Swayze approached the character, blending physical intensity with intellectual restraint. Screenwriter David Lee Henry wanted Dalton to embody contradiction, a man capable of brutal efficiency, yet committed to measured philosophical principles about pain and control. Watch Dalton quoting stoic logic or approaching conflict with measured calm before explosive action. His famous line about pain not hurting reflects genuine philosophical detachment from physical sensation. The philosophy degree separates Dalton from typical 1980s action heroes who relied purely on muscle and machismo. Swayze's performance balances both intellectual curiosity and raw physicality throughout the film. Number 14. The credited screenplay lists David Lee Henry and Hilary Henkin, but David Lee Henry is actually a pseudonym for writer R. Lance Hill, who extensively rewrote an earlier script version to reshape the film's tone and structure. Hill adopted the pseudonym due to Writers Guild arbitration rules and creative disputes over final script ownership. Henkin contributed to earlier drafts, but Hill's revisions introduced the Western gunfighter mythology and philosophical elements that define Dalton's character arc. Director Rowdy Harrington worked closely with Hill during rewrites, pushing for more action set pieces and cleaner narrative momentum. The tonal shifts between contemplative dialogue scenes and explosive violence reflect these disparate creative voices stitched together during development, Hill later discussed how the pseudonym protected his other projects from being associated with what critics dismissed as exploitation cinema. Number 13. Principal photography officially began on April 18, 1988, giving the production teams several months to capture extensive action sequences, dramatic confrontations, and sweeping landscape shots across multiple California locations. Rowdy Harrington scheduled the shoot to maximize natural lighting during golden hour for exterior scenes, particularly around the fictional Missouri River settings. The extended timeline allowed stunt coordinator Charles Picerni to choreograph and rehearse complex fight sequences without rushing safety protocols or sacrificing realism. Early sunrise and dusk shots across rural landscapes reflect that carefully planned schedule, with cinematographer Dean Cunday capturing warm tones that enhance the Western aesthetic Patrick Swayze envisioned. The spring start meant mild weather conditions ideal for outdoor filming, along riverbanks and rural properties throughout California's Central Valley region. Number 12. The famous double Deuce Bar exterior and interior sets were constructed specifically for production at the intersection of 13th Street and Arch Street in Santa Clarita, California, then completely demolished after filming wrapped. The production designer arranged the bar to look weathered and dangerous, reflecting years of neglect under corrupt ownership before Dalton's arrival. Every structural detail, from broken windows to stained walls, was intentionally crafted to communicate the establishment's rough reputation and clientele. Rowdy Harrington wanted full control over camera angles and lighting setups impossible in existing venues, justifying the expense of custom construction. The interior layout allowed fight choreography to flow naturally between bar, stage, and back rooms without spatial continuity issues. Watch carefully during interior shots. The worn wood and dim lighting don't exist anywhere else. Number 11. The opening club sequences where Dalton works before accepting the Double Deuce job were filmed inside Cowboy Boogie, a real live music venue located in Anaheim, California, that operated throughout the 1980s before eventually closing. Dean Cunday captured authentic bar atmosphere by filming during actual operating hours, incorporating real patrons as background extras to enhance believability and energy. The location's existing stage setup, lighting rigs, and bar infrastructure eliminated construction costs while providing genuine nightclub ambiance that matched the script's requirements. Rowdy Harrington selected Cowboy Boogie specifically because its layout resembled the upscale establishments where an elite bouncer like Dalton would realistically work before taking the Missouri assignment. The venue no longer exists, making these frames historical documentation of California's live music scene during that era. Number 10. During the brutal climactic fight between Dalton and Jimmy Reno, both Patrick Swayze and actor Marshall Teague insisted on performing their own stunts with minimal safety equipment to maximize realism and visceral impact. Stunt coordinator Charles Picerni choreographed the sequence but allowed improvisation, resulting in genuinely painful impacts that translated to authentic screen violence. Teague once swung what he assumed was a breakaway wooden prop log, only to discover mid-swing it was solid hardwood, connecting with Swayze's torso and causing immediate bruising. Swayze reportedly sustained cracked ribs, severe knee damage, and multiple contusions throughout the extended fight shoot, yet refused to use stunt doubles for wide shots. Notice how each punch, kick, and throw carries real impact physics rather than stage choreography with exaggerated reactions. Number 9. Producer Joel Silver personally selected Sam Elliot to portray mentor figure Wade Garrett specifically because Elliot's established screen persona embodied authentic cowboy gravitas, veteran wisdom, and weathered masculinity that would anchor Dalton's emotional arc. Elliot's distinctive voice, mustache, and relaxed physical presence contrasted perfectly with Patrick Swayze's polished martial arts precision, creating visual and temperamental balance between mentor and student. Rowdy Harrington wanted Wade to represent an older generation of bouncer whose glory days had passed, making Elliot's natural aging and road-worn appearance ideal casting. Watch how Wade's easygoing confidence and humor contrast with Dalton's intense philosophical approach to violence and conflict resolution. Elliot improvised several pieces of dialogue, including references to his past adventures, that enriched Wade's backstory without requiring additional exposition scenes. Number 8. The iconic monster truck rampage wasn't achieved through miniatures, stock footage, or early digital effects, but by bringing the actual Bigfoot #7 monster truck to location and filming live destruction along the Kings River in California. The production designer coordinated with the truck's owner and driver to choreograph the vehicle's path through practical sets and real terrain, capturing authentic engine roar and chassis physics impossible to replicate artificially. This single sequence reportedly consumed a significant portion of the film's action budget due to transportation costs, driver fees, construction of destructible set pieces, and extensive safety precautions for cast and crew. Rowdy Harrington insisted on practical effects to maintain consistency with the film's grounded Western aesthetic. Pay close attention to dirt spray, suspension bounce, and debris scattered during the rampage. Number 7. The fictional Missouri town of Jasper was actually composite photography across multiple real California communities, including Verona, Reedley, Sanger, Valencia, Santa Clarita, and various locations throughout Canyon Country, creating geographical continuity from disparate shooting sites. The location manager scouted rural properties along the Kings River that could convincingly portray Midwestern small-town America without requiring expensive set construction or cross-country transportation for cast and crew. Rowdy Harrington wanted authentic agricultural landscapes, weathered main streets, and riverside properties that matched the script's working-class Missouri setting while remaining logistically manageable within California. Juxtapose Dalton's rustic barn residence with Brad Wesley's ostentatious riverside mansion. Both are real properties located near each other along California waterways. Dean Cundy used warm color grading to unify these disparate locations into coherent fictional geography. Number 6. The monster truck demolishing the Double Deuce exterior wasn't achieved through forced perspective miniatures, stop-motion animation, or composite photography, but captured Bigfoot number 7. Physically crushing a full-scale practical set constructed specifically to be destroyed. Stunt coordinator Charles Picerni worked with the truck's professional driver to rehearse the destruction sequence multiple times, calculating precise entry angles, speed, and structural weak points that would collapse dramatically on camera without endangering nearby crew members. Rowdy Harrington positioned multiple cameras at various angles to capture the one-time destruction event from different perspectives, knowing resetting the set would be prohibitively expensive. Watch closely during the rampage for authentic dirt kick-up, chassis bounce, splintering wood, and scattering debris that follows genuine physics rather than stylized movie destruction. The engine roar wasn't dubbed in post-production. Number 5. Patrick Swayze repeatedly described Roadhouse in interviews as essentially a Western disguised in contemporary 1980s clothing, with Dalton cast as the archetypal solitary gunfighter, hired to bring justice and order to a lawless frontier town terrorized by a corrupt cattle baron. This interpretation informs Swayze's entire performance approach, from his measured dialogue delivery to his reluctant violence and eventual commitment to confronting evil despite personal cost. Rowdy Harrington embraced this framework, structuring the narrative around classic Western beats, including the stranger's arrival, initial resistance from locals, romance with a town woman, mentor guidance, and final showdown. Compare Dalton's first walk into the Double Deuce to iconic iconic cowboy entrances in films like Shane or High Noon. The posture, music, and visual framing deliberately echo frontier justice mythology. Number 4. The live band performing at the Double Deuce during early scenes is Cruzados, a Los Angeles rock group whose members later formed Tito and Tarantula. The band prominently featured in Robert Rodriguez's vampire film From Dusk Till Dawn, released in 1996. Rowdy Harrington wanted authentic bar band energy rather than lip-syncing actors or dubbed studio recordings, so he hired working musicians who could perform convincingly while cameras captured the action around them. Notice the bar crowd's genuine reactions and live energy during performance shots. This wasn't manufactured through post-production sound design, but reflected real musicians playing for an audience of cast and extras. Music supervisor Jimmy Iovine selected Cruzados specifically because their blues rock style matched the working-class authenticity Harrington envisioned for the Double Deuce's reformation under Dalton's management. Number 3. Upon theatrical release in May 1989, Roadhouse earned predominantly negative reviews from major critics who dismissed it as sleazy, excessively violent, and narratively incoherent exploitation cinema lacking artistic merit or social value. Roger Ebert gave the film 1.5 stars, criticizing its combination of philosophy and brutality as pretentious and contradictory. Variety's review highlighted wooden dialogue and implausible plot developments that stretched credibility beyond acceptable suspension of disbelief. Yet general audiences responded more favorably during the theatrical run, appreciating the earnest performances, elaborate fight choreography, and unironic commitment to its own absurd premise without postmodern winking. Watch the early fight scenes that critics labeled excessively violent. What reviewers considered gratuitous, over-the-top spectacle now defines Roadhouse's cult appeal and quotable legacy. Number 2. Despite earning a respectable $61 million worldwide theatrical box office against its $15 million production budget, Roadhouse achieved true cultural phenomenon status through endless cable television broadcasts and VHS rentals throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. Networks like TBS, TNT, and USA showed Roadhouse in heavy rotation, sometimes multiple times per week, exposing the film to audiences who never attended theatrical screenings. By 2020, industry analysts identified Roadhouse as one of the most watched films in cable television history based on cumulative viewer hours across decades of broadcasting. The film's episodic structure, quotable dialogue, and self-contained action sequences made it ideal for casual viewing, channel surfing discovery, and repeat watching. Note how broadcast edits emphasize philosophical dialogue beats and fight choreography while trimming romantic scenes. Number 1. The original film's cult success eventually spawned a direct-to-video sequel titled Roadhouse II: Last Call in 2006, a theatrical stage adaptation called Roadhouse. The stage version of the movie Roadhouse, produced in various cities, and a high-profile 2024 theatrical remake directed by Doug Liman starring Jake Gyllenhaal that honored Patrick Swayze's iconic performance. The 2006 sequel followed a new bouncer character investigating his uncle's murder, recycling the original's narrative template but lacking Swayze's charisma and earnest commitment that made Dalton compelling. The stage adaptation embraced the film's inherent absurdity, transforming it into self-aware musical comedy while preserving beloved dialogue and fight sequences for live performance. The 2024 remake updated the setting to contemporary Florida while maintaining the core mythology of an elite bouncer cleaning up a corrupt establishment. Roadhouse blended martial arts, philosophical wisdom, real stunt work, and 1980s cultural energy into a lasting cult favorite that transcended its critical dismissal. Cable television and VHS transformed it into an enduring phenomenon that inspired sequels, stage adaptations, and a 2024 remake. Which hidden detail surprised you most, and what film should we open next?